Cool. Well, yeah, I
Okay.
mean, keen to get started if you got time, Coach. I appreciate you
Sure.
being here. Cool.
Sure.
So thank you so much, Coach Berque, for joining us. I really appreciate you being here on today's show. As mentioned, we have been going around interviewing amazing college programs, and I've been very excited about this one. I can tell you that. I mean, we've been interviewing some fantastic coaches, but I just want to go into a little bit and tell people what you have achieved and where you have coached to give them the magnitude of this talk. So Coach Berque has coached at some amazing colleges in the past. He's worked at schools like Florida, Ohio State, and he won a national championship when he was at Illinois from 1999 to 2004. And then he ended up working for 10 years at Michigan, going deep consistently into the NCAA championship. And now he is the head tennis coach at University of Texas, where he won a national championship in 2019. I'm going to go into a few more stats, Coach. Bear with me. I know you must not like people talking about you, but I've got to say this. He's helped produce 4 national team champions, 6 national individual champions, 10 conference team titles. He's coached 23 All-Americans, and he has coached 5 single players and 3 doubles players to the #1 national rankings. Thank you, Coach, for joining us.
My pleasure. Yeah, I want to meet this guy. Sounds pretty good. Yeah.
I tell you what, if I could have a drink with someone, it'll definitely be someone like yourself. The stories must be amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Coach.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. So, Coach, I guess we're sitting here in July. You're coming up to August now. It must be getting pretty exciting for you having a full season after the pandemic.
Yeah, we were one of the fortunate ones. We really didn't miss any competition. We had to rework our schedule a little bit and tried to minimize the number of times we were flying to places. But the level of competition that we played was just as strong as ever, and we didn't have any players have to miss a match for COVID reasons, which is pretty unusual given the climate last year. So we were fortunate. The one thing we missed is having consistent crowds and attendance. And I think it's pretty fun for our guys to play in front of big audiences. And we didn't really have that until the very end of the year. So that's something we can look forward to getting back to normal next year.
Talk about like some of the guys in your team. They're in the off season right now. They're in the break. What are they doing right now, players in your team? Are they just getting ready for college and having a holiday, or are they working?
No, they're all working. We had a pretty long season. So, right after the college team season gets done, honestly, they took, days that you can count on one hand off completely and kind of tried to decompress a little bit mentally. And then a few of them, had some training blocks, getting back into it, starting to work on their fitness. And if there were a few things that they wanted to tweak in their game in terms of, cleaning up some of the technical things, they might have worked on that with us back here in Austin. There was one guy who has a really good technical coach at home that did some work with him. But by the end of June, really, they were out there competing in tournaments, any tournaments that they can find. So this right now, I would say, is the peak of tournament play for our guys this summer. We had 3 guys playing at Futures this week. We had 3 more playing 2 different $25,000 UTR events, in one in Newport, one in Atlanta. Unfortunately, we have one guy that had a minor hip surgery that's here rehabbing. And then one guy's playing at an open tournament near his house. So pretty much everyone's playing tournaments and trying to get better. They love it. That's one thing I really enjoy about our team. And I've done this now for about 30 years. And our group is, they really enjoy playing tennis and they enjoy competing. So it's fun to work with guys like that.
Coach, a lot of the athletes that are watching this or listening to this they dream about going to an NCAA national championship. You haven't just done that. You've won 2. How was that experience? What is it like being involved in intense competition like that?
I mean, it is fun. It's obviously, especially when you think you have a shot at it, it's nerve-wracking. I feel like for me, I take it as a big responsibility when I do have a team that has a chance, because I don't want to be the guy that screws it up. I want to be the guy that kind of steers the ship and keeps everybody in the proper mindset and training hard and having attention to detail, but at the same time not overtraining as we get close, and just the thing I found really helpful, especially in 2019 when we won it, is if you have the kind of team that you can trust, and if you have the right kind of players and the right kind of culture on your team, to try to find different creative ways to make those guys feel like that it's their team, and that they're taking charge of the mindset of the team. Because at the end of the day, I think teams that are self-motivated and player-driven, and sometimes you can fool them into thinking that they're the ones steering the ship. But, when they want to do it for each other, and when they take responsibility and ownership in the direction the team's going, it just seems to be more powerful. And that's what really happened for us in 2019. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I take a great deal of ownership and responsibility also, to keep everybody on track. But the biggest satisfaction for me is watching how happy the guys are when they win something like that together. I mean, the joy and the pride that they are able to then share with each other for the rest of their lives, because they'll be talking about something, they'll be talking about it at the 10-year reunion, 20-year reunion, and so on. It's just, it just makes me really happy for them that they get to have this special memory that no one can take from them.
That's one thing I love about college is like the brotherhood that they develop amongst each other must be amazing. I mean, before we started this interview, we were talking about some of the New Zealanders that like Jetty Jones, for example. Do you keep in touch with all of these athletes throughout your whole entire career?
Yeah, I try. I do. I do my best. Of course, there are some that are better at it than others, and some you really develop close friendships with after they're gone, and that's a really satisfying and fun thing as a coach to have the coach-player relationship kind of evolve into a friendship that carries on with you forever. I mean, now the longer you do it, the more people you have to keep track of, and I've done it now at 4 or 5 different schools. So sometimes I forget who did that guy play with, or which school did I have that guy at? But we get invited to weddings, and when I travel to a city where one of these guys happens to live, we try to get together and have a dinner or a beer, and it's definitely satisfying. I'd be lying if I say I communicate with every single one of them, but I kind of have a good feel for what they're all up to, and definitely communicate with a lot of them.
Coach, I was watching an interview that you did on YouTube, and I believe it was an interview that you did after you won the 2019 National Championship with Texas, as first year as the head coach, which is very impressive. And in the interview, they take a bit of a snippet of you talking to the players on the tennis court, and you're handing players a bit of paper. And I'm very curious, do you give athletes like notes on players that they're playing against? What kind of information do you give to these guys on game day?
Yeah, I'm trying to, now you got me thinking. I can't remember what it was that I gave to the players. It might have been coaches, the other coaches. I kind of remember that. But yeah, we do have scouting reports that are pretty detailed, based on our experience from seeing those players play against other players. And usually the way I communicate that to people is through message on a text or email or a team chat that we have. And then I have like a cheat sheet with me, and all the coaches have it, that we can kind of keep with us, so that it has even some more detail, so that when we're on court, we can look at it for reminders. But yeah, we definitely recognize tendencies, and we have videos of just about every match we've played for the last 6 or 7 years. So sometimes we'll go and watch those, or we'll give links to the players to watch. And we definitely are a program that uses video quite a bit.
I don't know if you saw Stefanos Tsitsipas's most recent comment on social media over the last 48 hours.
Oh, I did, yeah.
What do you think about, and obviously you can coach during a tennis match, you can give athletes advice. You've worked with athletes that have gone to the top level, like Ranjiv Ram, one of the top doubles players in the world currently. How important was it to coach them during those matches, and did it impact their careers, do you think, to transition to that pro tour? Did they learn quite a lot?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that can be, everybody's different and everybody has different needs, and some people are really good thinkers on the court and stay composed so that they're able to think, and some struggle with that. I'd say the most common assistance I think that on-court coaching has helped players with during my experience has been the ability to self-regulate and stabilize moods and emotions, so that they can think clearly and see things. Because sometimes, players want to win so badly that they let their frustration and their anger get the best of them, and their fears, really. So sometimes as a coach, you can get out there and remind them of things that we've already talked to and agreed to, so that they're able to kind of refocus and reset, and then turn their attention to things that are actually relevant to helping them play better tennis. So hopefully by the time they leave, they're better able to self-regulate. And we have one player in particular on our team right now that is a freshman, Micah Braswell. And I think the on-court coaching, he would be the perfect example of someone who benefited a lot from that. He won 36 matches as a freshman this year, and was ranked 20 something in the country as a freshman, which is pretty good. And but so many of those matches were super close, and he has a tendency to lose, let his emotions run a little wild, but he was very coachable and very reachable, and I think that was a big benefit to him. And then we were talking to him a lot about his long-term need to self-regulate. But I think it's a cool idea, the idea of allowing on-court coaching in the pros. I guess there's always negatives to it. Some people can afford more coaching, some people can't, and that could be a quote-unquote unfair advantage. But I do think it can make a difference for players. And some, it's an art too, because you got to figure out who responds well to different cues, and some you want to be tough with. Some you got to calm down, some you got to pump up, and you got to pick your spots and your times, I think, to give the coaching.
I think it's such an advantage for young athletes, because I guess like your success as a professional is based on when you mature as an athlete and the decisions that you make, and the ability to recognize what you're doing wrong at moments in the game is so huge. And if you don't go to college tennis, you're recognizing that once the match is done and you're in the locker room and you've lost your temper.
Exactly. And I think, we have great players on our team. We've got several guys that were in the top, 2 or 3 in the country in the juniors, and guys that are top 20 ITF, and have even won Grand Slam doubles titles and ITF grade 1 singles titles. But still, they get here and they're still young, emotionally, that mental, emotional control on the court. And, I see them gaining, most of the guys are able to gain a lot during this time. And I think if we're doing our job really well, by the time, they get into their second, third year, that they're able to self-regulate a little bit better. And, I like that expression. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day.
Love that.
If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like what we want to get towards, the ability to do it themselves.
Absolutely. In terms of, let's talk about your setup. For someone that's never been to your campus before and is listening to this, what do your athletes get access to?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, really. I think the U.S. kids, maybe aren't as awed by it, in my experience, because they've seen it before. They've grown up with it in a lot of cases. But a lot of times when international students or recruits come here to take a look, they can't believe it. The resources that are poured into all the sports at schools like ours, and we're not the only one, but we're definitely one of the ones that has tremendous resources, are just off the charts. At our facility, we have a beautiful 12-court facility with seating for 1,000 people up above. There's a seating area that overlooks both sets of 6 courts, and underneath the stadium, we have a massive weight room that's just for tennis, with state-of-the-art equipment, cold tank, the whirlpool, a big, large training room, like super nice locker rooms and player lounges. And there's a study area. Then there's 2 coaches' office. There's a stringing room. There's an officials room. There's visiting locker rooms, but it's all just super nice. Wow. So that's what they have access to as far as the courts. We also have a 6-court indoor facility, and then there's a dining hall for student athletes that has like world-class food, There's academic center, all in the same building. There's an academic center where you can go study and get tutors just for athletes. There's a dining hall for, they call it the Tank, the Texas Athletic Nutrition Center. It's kind of one-stop shopping. So and then there's the human resources. Those are the physical resources. Then there's the human resources. We have a strength coach that just works with men's tennis and women's volleyball, a dietitian that works with 3 sports, an athletic trainer, or a physio that's with us at every practice and match. And that person, under that person, they have student trainers who are trying to learn that craft. So it's just, you have sports psychologists, you have a stringer, you've got everything, so all you got to do is, go to school, take advantage of the resources, and work hard with your tennis. And we're not the only ones. A lot of the universities have tremendous resources. I'm just fortunate to be at one of those schools.
So you're telling me that athletes get access to all of this stuff, and all they've got to do is get a degree, which will set them up for life and to improve in their tennis. Not bad.
That's pretty much it. And of course, all their equipment and clothes and travel and coaching.
Yeah.
All that's taken care of. It's not bad. If you love tennis, it's awesome. Because you got to physically work hard on the courts, and the days are long, and there's demands on your time. But as far as the resources that are at your disposal, I can't imagine anybody wanting for more.
I believe there's a famous actor that's been to your campus quite a lot, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Right?
He's an institution here. Yeah, he's they actually gave him a title last year. He's called the Minister of Culture for University of Texas Athletics. Yeah, he loves Texas. He went to Texas,
right?
But he just loves it. He's at every game and every contest, and he shows up in his burnt orange car with all dressed, in the cowboy boots and the hat and the colors, and giving speeches. And we also in Austin, we just started a MLS team, Major League Soccer, and it's called the Austin FC. So he's one of the part owners in that. He's an institution in Austin, and especially for Texas athletics.
Yeah. It's amazing, like the exposure that college athletics get and the networks that it creates for people. Having a guy that's won an Oscar coming and being a big advocate for that must be pretty special. And his movies are great. His motivational speeches must be even better.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, well, after we won the national championship in 2019, he's at every football game on the sideline. So we got to go down on the sideline and be introduced on the field, and that's 100,000 people recognizing you, which is pretty cool. And he's down there, so the whole team, they love him, and we got a picture with him, and it's pretty cool.
Fantastic. Coach, you're a big time program. You have had amazing success as a coach. There's a lot of athletes that are sitting here thinking, what do I need to do in order to get this opportunity? You must get a lot of recruits emailing you, contacting your players. For you, what stands out in a recruit where you have a look and you think, actually, I want to take a chance on this guy?
Well, since you're talking about athletes in New Zealand, primarily, I think, or maybe you deal with athletes throughout other countries too, I'm not sure. But I think especially if you're an international guy, and especially if you're not really active on the ITF circuit, and, you're not one of the top ITF guys, I think it's really good for the recruit to make the first move and reach out to the coaches, and not simply assume that if a coach doesn't reach out to you that he wouldn't be interested. Right. Because we try to do our homework as best we can, but there's no way that we can know everyone.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes, a guy everyone's got their own set of circumstances, and sometimes we might miss on somebody that we might have otherwise recognized. So if you've got an interest in a college or a university, or you want to learn more about it, I definitely think it's don't be bashful about getting on the internet, finding that coach's email or phone number, and reaching out and sending him a little bit of background about you and your level and your interest, and then see where it goes from there. I do think what can be helpful is if, especially coming from overseas, since the recruit might not be as aware of the various levels in college tennis, because you've got anything from the University of Texas, we've been ranked in the top 3 the last several years, to mid-major schools, Division II, Division III. There's everything. There's all sorts of levels, and I find that some of the recruits aren't as educated about those levels, so may not exactly know which schools are the appropriate level for them to reach out to. Some schools may be a bit more of a reach, but possible. And some of it depends on what kind of budget you have to pay and how much scholarship you need. But if you're not really well educated on the various levels, I think it's great to ask the help of someone who does know. And I know you're in that business, so you could be a resource, and there are other people in that business too. And that person can be really helpful in guiding the prospect to the schools that are appropriate for them to look at.
For sure.
But I think that's probably the biggest advice I say, is try to educate yourself on what kind of level of a school would be appropriate for me. What things are important to you that you can communicate to the coach, and then if you're not really sure about those levels, to try to get some help from someone who does.
You obviously have a lot of top 100 ITF juniors that are in your program, athletes that have won junior Grand Slams, as we discussed earlier. So you know that they can play at a good level, most of these kids that approach you. In terms of before you sign them, do you do a background check on them? Do you go check out their social media? Do you get your team to do that? Do you check in the...
Yeah, the social media... Yeah, I do. It's not very. It's something that should be systematic and a part of what I do every time. It hasn't been, but it's probably something I should be doing systematically. I do. There's probably not anybody that we've recruited that I haven't, been on Facebook with or Instagram, but it's usually just a way of communicating at first. And I think if I saw something inappropriate, I would most likely see something if it was there, but I haven't really done that systematically. I do know that some coaches do that, but what I do is, once I establish that there's mutual interest and we're getting close to, potentially an offer, I definitely do my homework, and for the US kids, for me, it's pretty easy because I can see them in so many different environments and so many different tournaments. And invariably I know somebody who knows them, and I ask around a lot. We can also use our guys. Some of the younger guys on the team will know them and say, no, stay away from this guy, or this guy's good. He's a good character. For the international guys, I have to be a little more aggressive. So if a prospect is from New Zealand, I probably have 4 people that I know well who are coaches, or run recruiting agencies that I would call and ask about, someone like yourself. But yeah, that's definitely something that's important to me, because right now we're fortunate to have a really good culture on our team at Texas, but I know from experience that it's a lot harder to build that kind of culture than it is to ruin it, And so sometimes if you have 1 or 2 guys that aren't the right fit, or don't share the same kind of passion for the sport that the coaches and the other players do, or they may have some questionable behavior in their past, that can really be disruptive to the team. So before we offer someone a spot on the team, I'm definitely going to do the best I can to ask as many different people I can about that person's character.
I guess, like, as much as tennis is an individual sport, it is a team sport in America in college tennis, and everything's about the team. I mean, they're giving you, as coaches said, they're giving you all this amazing things to succeed, the latest facilities, the latest trainers, the most advanced nutritionists, and they just want to make sure that their brand that they carry so proudly is withheld with respect. And you're doing the right things. And so, if you are listening to this, keep that in mind, that if you are playing at grade 1 ITFs and you are playing at the junior Grand Slams, and you decide to act inappropriately, or you decide to have bad behavior towards an opponent or anything like that, it may be seen.
Oh yeah, there's no question. When I'm there, we definitely are watching the tennis. And, we're aware of rankings and results, and that's obviously important, but it's definitely not everything. We can see the character in the fight that and the passion for the game that people have on the court. And then when you're hanging out at the tournaments, you see how they're practicing sometime. You see how they're treating other players in the tournament, or, the wait staff, if there's a restaurant there. You notice things like that. And we see little red flags sometimes if there's some things that are, that catch our eye that are indicative of someone that we might not like to have on the team. But mostly, I've been pretty impressed in the last several years with the maturity that I see out on the circuit. And I just think that's getting better and better over time. And I think that's probably a result of good coaching and just the elevation of the game and the training and the support staff that all the players have. But yeah, it's definitely something that we pay attention to.
Awesome. Well, Coach Berque, it's been an absolute honor having you on our show. I really appreciate your time that you've given me, and I cannot wait to get you a New Zealander. That's going to be my goal, to get you a New Zealander.
It's time. Yeah. I've had a few in my career, and it's time for another.
Absolutely. Yeah. It'll be great to get you someone from either New Zealand or Australia and get them over there. We've had some great players go over there and do well in the college system, like Cam Norrie, and it'd be great to get another Kiwi over there and do well in your program.
For sure.
Thank you so much. And for those listening to this or watching this, go check out University of Texas Men's Tennis on Instagram, Facebook. Check them out on YouTube. There is a lot of content on YouTube. If you want to see what it's like during a tennis match, definitely go check out YouTube. You can see that. Coach Berque, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and best of luck for the fall season.
You got it. Thanks, Elmer. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.